Today we have a heavy topic, and the topic for today is gambling, and more specifically, why I quit gambling. Now, those who don't gamble, you may be like, well, of course you should quit gambling. I don't know why you started in the first place. But for those who have been in the field of sports betting or done it for quite a while, you know that it's actually quite profitable if you do it in the long term. I'm going to explain my journey of sports betting slash gambling, and I'm going to explain why I quit. So, this all started 3 months ago during the end of February when I was watching a play at my college, and my roommate was watching the Super Bowl as he placed a bet on it, and he showed me that he won the bet for the Super Bowl. I believe it was a three-leg parlay, and it's a 5x payout. So he put in like $20 or $25, and he got 125 back. So net profit of about $100. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. You can guess where a player might end up relative to the line, and if you guess correctly, then you'll hit one of the legs, which that could then yield some sort of profit if you hit all of the legs, depending on the size of your parlay. So a two leg parlay, you need to hit both players. 3-leg parlay, you need to hit all three players, and so on and so forth. So right then and there, I was like, screw it. I'll download this app called Prize Picks, and I saw that there's $100 deposit match, which was really cool. If you put in $100, you get an extra $100 in promo funds. So basically, you get $100 free dollars, right? Free in quotation marks, as there's a reason they do this, of course. So I have $100 of promo funds, and the $100 I put into the account, and I think of this promo funds as house money. I'm like, okay, this $100 is their money. It's not really mine, right? So the first bet I make is $100 down on, I believe, Stephen Curry for points. Because I'm like, oh, Stephen Curry's a good player. If he's going to pop off, of course he'll get more than, I don't know, 27 and a half points, whatever the line was. And I was like, and the other line was, I forgot who the player was. I think it was, Anthony Davis. Because it was the Warriors versus the Lakers. Anthony Davis for, I believe I put him for under points. Or maybe I did over points on him too. I think I did over points because I was like, oh, Anthony Davis, he's a good player. He'll go over the line. Of course, I know nothing about sports betting at this time. So I'm watching the game, and Anthony Davis, he actually goes over his line. But Steph Curry, he misses by like 5 points. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? There goes my $100, I guess. But it's house money, so it doesn't really matter, right? I was kind of bummed because, I put in $100, and if I won, I would have got 300 back, which means $200 in profit just off that 2-leg parlay. I was like, wow, that's really cool. You can make this much money off these bets. Of course, I had no idea how line works. The line works in sports betting at this point in time. So I'm already down $100 technically, and I'm like, wow, okay, I'll make some smaller bets, play it more safe. So the next couple days, I'll make like $20 bets, 2-leg parlays, because I'm like, okay, the less legs, the higher chance it is of hitting. I don't have to make as many guesses. I'm pretty sure over the next 3 days, I lose like $250, right? It's like, what the heck? I lost $250. I can make it back, I'll just do a 6-leg parlay and put in like $20, right? And, or $10, and I put in $10 in a 6-leg parlay, and it'll pay out $250, right? 25x payout. And of course the parlay misses, right? It's like a 3% chance anyways. And I'm like, damn, how can I win these bets more often? And so this is when I start going down the rabbit hole, right? So first, I look up how to make money on Prize Picks, okay, on YouTube. So here I am. I go to YouTube, and the first video I'll see is this guy he made like $1 million off Prize Picks apparently. I'm like, oh wow, okay, this guy made $1 million. He must know what he's saying, right? And he ran this Discord called Secured Picks, and $20 a month. I was like, okay, sure, why not? I'll pay $20 a month, and I'll probably make more than that if this Discord's good, right? So what this Discord did is they every a couple times throughout the day they would release slips. So slips are like bets basically, with a certain amount of player props on them, and they'd release slips with two players. So 2-leg parlays. They'd release two mans, as you'd call it, and they'd say this is a lock, right? This is a lock meaning this is like going to hit, right? This is going to win. So they'd release these two mans, and I'd place them throughout the day, and they actually won like, maybe like a third of the time, right? And so for a 2-man parlay, it pays 3 times, 3x. So if you place 3 of them and you only hit 1, then you break even, right? So they always said, oh, if you hit 1 out of 3, then it's a break-even day. So it's fine. You don't win money, you don't lose money. And I would win some of these bets, and they're actually kind of, on a hot streak. And in my account, I'm adding more money. I have like $800 to start off with, and I grow it a little bit more to like 1,200. And then I start incorporating other things like watching YouTube videos of sports bettors who say these are the picks for the day or picks for tomorrow, right? So I look at these picks and I'm like, okay, I'll add this one in my 2-man. I'll make my own 2-mans, and then I'll also do the 2-mans from Secured Picks. And over the next 2 weeks, I actually grow my bankroll, or the amount of money in my account, to $2,000. So I had a net profit of $1,200. So here I am at $2,000 in my account. And at this point, I'm so confident. I'm like, wow, this is so easy. I'm making so much money for free. But this is where they get you. You get too confident and you start making bets way too big, right? I still don't know what unit size is. A unit size is how much should be placing per bet. So usually people place 1% unit bets, which means if your bankroll or the amount of your account is $100 or $500, then 1% of $500 is $5. So each bet you should do 1% bets, which is $5 per bet. Okay. You don't want to leverage more than that. Otherwise, you could lose too much on a given day, and then your account could start plummeting, right? I have $2,000 in my account at this point, and I don't know unit sizes. And so far, when I had like $1,000 in my account, I was making I believe $20 to $50 bets or something crazy. So for $1,000 in my account, a $50 bet would be 5% of my account, right? And here I am with $2,000, and I'm doing $100 bets. Okay, $100 bets, which is each one is 5% of my entire account balance. And I placed 10 of these bets. Okay, so 5% per bet, 10 bets. That's 50% of my bankroll or account balance. So on one given day, I had $2,000 in my account. I placed 10 bets, and that's $1,000 on the line. Okay, and I'm so confident these are gonna win. But the next day, all of them chalk. Chalk means that they don't hit or they miss, and they all lose. So I lost $1,000 in one day. I'm like, okay, you know what? This really, really sucks, but I can just do it again and earn it back, right? Because that's the mentality of a gambler. Is if you chase your losses, then of course it's going to be bad, but we don't think about the chance of it losing, because we only think about the chance of winning, right? It's the reason why people gamble in the first place. They always, you know, um, idealize this idea of winning, or they put it on like a pedestal. The proportions are, it's blown out of proportion how much you think it's going to hit, just because your belief or whatever. So the next day I put down another $1,000. I put down the rest of my money in my account, and all of it like loses again. So here I am, the previous day I lost $1,000, sure, but I was still up like 200 technically, because I started with 800. But now here I am, and my account's at zero, where it's like at $50, right? I'm like, oh shit. And this is when I start chasing pretty bad. Okay. I continue pumping in hundreds of bucks into my account, and I keep losing. And at this point, I'm at negative $3,500. Okay. Only 1,200 of it is actually, only 2,300 of it is actually my money, because 1,200 was the money I made, and I lost that. So I'm down like 2,000, a little bit over 2,000. And at this point, I don't know what to do. I'm like, wow, okay, I need to just like shut the fuck up and just, bet small amounts and grow it back up, make it back. I want to make my money back, right? Slowly. And I actually approach it maturely this time. I'm not like throwing in tons of money. I'm just putting in small amounts, right? But I don't want to tell my parents how much I've lost. But at a certain point, as I'm putting more money in the account, I accidentally used my dad's credit card, because I'm trying to use my own. And he gets a message that Prize Picks wants to deposit like $300, right? And I'm sure he eventually figures out what that is. But he stays quiet for a little bit, and meanwhile, I'm still doing this betting. I come home for spring break, and my dad brings it up. And at that point, I tell my parents that I lost like $2,000. And however, I believe I can make it back, and I still want to do it, right? Oh, I still want a sports bet. I'm an adult. I'm 21 now. So my parents, they, even though they're really against it, they are not going to, threaten me to stop doing it, because they know I'm an adult, and I have, I'm in control of my own choices, right? So they let me bet, but they make a compromise with me that I have a budget of $500. So I start with 500, just forget all the losses. And if I go to zero, then I have to stop betting, right? So at this point, I had just found this new channel called Odds Juice. And Odds Juice was another Discord server that released picks. But instead of 2-mans, he released only 6-mans. And instead of only a couple bets per day, he released like 12 bets per day, all 6-mans. And I was like, this is interesting. Why is he doing, 6-man parlays? Aren't those hard to hit? So this guy apparently did the math, and 6-mans are the most profitable, okay? You only need to hit a prop about 54.3% of the time in order to be profitable with 6-man parlays. With a 2-man, it's like 59%. So the prop has to be a lot higher win rate to be profitable. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Let me try it out. And on the third day, I hit a 6-man parlay. I put in $10 and I won 250 back, right? So profit of 240. So at this point, I had agreed with my parents, only, start with 500, and if I go to zero, I can't bet anymore. But I'm using this guy Odds Juice, following his bets, and I'm making a good amount of money slowly. Around this time as well, I find this other guy named Shook DFS, DFS for daily fantasy, and he also released Prize Picks bets, and instead he released like a couple players he thought were really had a really high chance of hitting. And this guy was really good too. He's he's also a veteran like Odds Juice. They both kind of have been betting for about 2 years at this point, so they're pretty experienced. And after Odds Juice keeps hitting the 6-man parlays, uh, and my account is started from 500 and now it's at 1,100. Right, it almost more than doubled. At this point, I leave Secured Picks because Secured Picks was actually kind of a scam. It was more of a showy Discord and not that profitable in the long run. Like maybe slightly profitable, but not very. So here I am tailing Odds Juice, and my third quarter of college starts. So I keep betting, following Shook DFS, following Odds Juice. I subscribe to this sports betting app called Outlier, and I start researching my own bets. I start getting better and better at picking props of my own, learning about sports betting odds, learning about NBA matchups and the player props, including points, assists, rebounds, and blocks, steals, all that type of stuff. And I actually started getting pretty good myself, but my bets were still not the best, right? I was making about 2 bets of my own per day and following all of Odds Juice bets. And over the next month, I don't make any net profit or net losses. I'm like the same. And I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like I'm not making any profit. And I realize it's because my own bets, right? Odds Juice knows what he's doing, but I'm cocky. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't. So because my account kind of had been stagnant and I hadn't really made profit or made any or lost anything either, I was trying to figure out other ways to figure out how to make profit on PrizePicks. Is there other strategies or whatnot? Like I kind of wondered that. And this is when I came across baseball correlation, because you can correlate the players, hits, runs, RBIs together, since like if a player hits it, usually he'll hit it with another player, right? So you can correlate those two together. And so I found this account that would put the baseball picks into 4-man power plays. 4-man power plays are you have to hit all 4 and you get a 10x payout. If you miss one, you just lose your money. But with correlation, it makes it more like a 2-man power because the 2 pairs always hit together, right? So I followed like 12 bets from this guy I found on Twitter, and 3 of them hit. Now 3 is a massive amount because each one is like a 10 to 20x multiplier. Basically, some of these props had demons on them. In PrizePicks, there's goblins and demons. Goblins are easier to hit props, and demons are harder. So this guy put in a bunch of demons for Major League Baseball, which were harder to hit, but they would hit in correlation, right? So if you did hit it, you get a massive payout. So I hit like 3 of these, like 16 X's. So it's like 48x payout. So I put in like $20 per bet, and I hit 3 of them. So that's 20 times 48. That was like $1,000, $1,000 of profit that day. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And this is when my account was, still pretty small at the time. And in fact, I think I almost hit negative $500. If I hit that, I would have to stop betting. So I was like, oh wow, I made all this money back. I have more to work with. The very next day, Odds Juice hits 2 38x's in a row. So that's 76x multiplier. I was putting $20 per bet, and he hits 2 6-man parlays. So that's 20 times 76, which is 1.5k in profit. So that like back-to-back days, I made like $2,000. It was crazy. I'm like, wow, I have the most amount of money in my account I've ever had. This is insane, right? But the next day, I get a little greedy. I'm like, well, I have all this money and this baseball hits really often. So let me put down like a ton of bets in Major League Baseball. So I put down like 20 bets, 4-man parlays, power plays. If one prop misses on any of the on these slips, then they all just lose. And I lose all 20 of them. So I lose $1,000 in one day, you know. And so even though I'd made 2,000, I'm only up 1,000 now. And this is where I chase losses again. I'm like, okay, I'll do it again. Maybe it's just a bad day, right? I trust this baseball because the first time I try it, man, I make $1,000 off it, right? So I do it again the next day and all loses again, like 20 bets. So now I basically lost all of the money that Odds Juice had made me off those 6-man parlays. I'm like, wow, I'm dumb. And I was dumb. So from that point on, I'm like, okay, I'm only going to tail Odds Juice. And I slowly grow my account more and more. And I start following other people on Twitter. You know, I follow this guy named DFF Bets. He posts the best goblin props and the best demon props. So because goblins are easier to hit, you know, they can be good sometimes. Because demons are harder to hit, they pay out more. But if you pick the good ones, then, you know, it's maybe worth the payout for the risk. So Odds Juice had been incorporating one demon in the 6-man's because a 6-man's payout is 25x, but adding just one demon, it increases it all the way to 38x multiplier. That's insane. A 1.5x, you know, return on your profits for one demon, which is a little bit harder to hit, is so worth it. So he was abusing that. And that's why we made the 38x's, the 2 in one day, you know. And I'm following, you know, DFS Bets. I'm following this guy named Juiced Bets. You know, he's posting the 5-man parlays, and 5-man parlays are also good. 5 and 6-mans are the best, and these are actually hitting pretty often too. So, you know, I'm increasing by the amount in my account slowly, and eventually I decide to just only follow Odds Juice, only his bets. Okay, so every morning, he's very on time. He sends the bets out at 8 a.m. PST, like flat every morning. He sends 12 bets out, you copy them, and then you let him sit and see what happens at the end of the day. And over the next month, I, you know, as I'm depositing a little bit more money into my account, I start at $1,300 and I grow to $6,000. Okay, so I had made like $5,000. Moreover, Odds Juice picks. The people in his community start taking some of them and turning them into new bets, like throwing, you know, 2 from this bet, 2 from that bet, 2 from that bet, and putting him into another bet of another 6 players, and we call it remixing. And I get really good at remixing, and I win the server a couple 6-man parlays. And as Odds Juice server starts growing and growing, I make a server of my own and invite some of the original members of Odds Juice server so that we can all talk, because the new members are flooding the Odds Juice server. I started becoming more and more involved in this, in my own little Discord server. I start sending out slips of my own, bets of my own, and I start, you know, getting really involved with Discord and texting and messaging and giving advice and everything sports betting. It ends up consuming parts of my day, and I end up, you know, spending like 6 hours just messaging because it's so much fun to like just help people out and message people out. But then, like, for some reason, Odds Juice, his bets start, you know, looking really poor. Like his prop choices seem really bad, and you know, for 3 days in a row, he doesn't hit a single parlay, 6-man parlay. Then becomes 6, then 9, and then it's 10 days, and my account goes from $6,000 all the way down back to like 2,600. So sure, I'm still up like 1,300, but it had been at 6,000. I just lost like another 3,000 from my peak. And I'm all like, and it starts getting really depressing, right? And I'm so involved in the sports betting scene. All these other guys are looking up to me now that I'm making my own bets. And it starts taking a toll on my mental health. It starts becoming hard to focus in school too, because I'm so involved in the community. I stop working out as much. I stop going to classes as much. I stop paying attention. I stopped doing my homework as much, and doing extracurriculars, hanging out with friends, playing basketball, rock climbing, all the stuff I like to do. And at a certain point, I just decided, it's time to quit. And the day I decided to quit it's today. I'm quitting. I decided to quit sports betting forever, basically. I really thought about it the past couple, weeks, and the cons just completely outweigh the pros. The pro is that it is profitable. You can make income in the long run, but the cons is that it just takes so much time out of your day. You become so invested, and it's very easy to get invested. I had a certain streak of days where I was able to just put in the bets and not look at them until the night, and I wasn't really worried about the outcome because I'm just following my unit size, just putting in a set amount per bet, and overall, I would gain profit over time. But it started getting out of control when I started becoming more involved in the community. And yeah, the real only pro is making money. And you can make money, but it's just sometimes not worth it. And in my eyes, it isn't for me. I don't like having the idea of my money being on the line at all times throughout the day. It keeps me always on edge. And so, like, overall throughout my sports betting journey, I originally lost $2,000, and ever since I locked in, I made $1,300 back. But I'm still down 700, like, total, right? And that's kind of like a good way to put sports betting. It's very hard to be profitable. It is very hard. I could have done it if I wanted to, but it just wasn't worth the time at the end of the day. And I'm very fortunate that I would say I have a lot of willpower and a really strong mental. I'm able to just quit. I seriously am just quitting forever. I don't ever, I won't ever have the need to go back into it and get as invested as I have recently. I'm making a decision and I'm sticking to it. I'm very fortunate to, think this way, because some people it's very, very, very hard to quit. It's an addiction. It can take over their lives. I've seen people who have destroyed their entire families because of a gambling addiction. They'll spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars and destroy their entire families, right? When I first started betting, I did start chasing my losses, and it got a little bit bad. I was down $3,000. But at that point in time, I decided to take it slow and play smart to earn my money back. I didn't keep chasing my losses, right? Throughout my sports betting time, 3 months, it was very easy to fall back into that mindset of chasing losses. And I think that's just a part of being human, to be honest. It's just kind of the way that we're programmed to think. So it's kind of hard to avoid doing that. But for me, at least, I was able to keep it under control to a certain degree. And now that I've decided to quit, I feel this giant weight lifted off of me. It feels good. It really does. I don't have to think about sports betting at all. My bets being on the line. My money being determined by these players that I'm choosing. Now, I will say, sports betting for fun, it can be something like social, maybe if you're playing with your friends or whatnot and deciding to bet on the same thing or bet against each other, right? But again, it's still something very dangerous. And my dad, when I first started betting, he was super duper against it, and I kind of wondered why, but I kind of understood at the same time. I mean, morally, it's not right. It really isn't. It There are so many people, their lives are just complete shit because of gambling, um, and they can't even control the way they approach gambling. It just consumes them completely. But that's my experience, and I just wanted to share with you. This is by far my longest video at 25 minutes. So yeah, I'm glad if you watched all the way through. If you like my content, subscribe. I don't know. And yeah, that's it.